PitchGround, welcome to another edition of our launch day. We're so excited to be here with the founders and CEO and COO of Pathfix, Samir and Ralph. Uh, don't mind our tech setup. We've run into some issues with Zoom again, so we apologize for that. But we're happy to be here right now, live with you guys, coming to you from India and uh, New York. So before we dive into the uh, meat and potatoes of our event today, where we're going to show you the step-by-step demo of Pathfix, we're just going to have Samira just fill us in on what Pathfix is, who's it is for, and then we'll dive into it with Ralph. So Samira.
Hi, thank you. So yes, Pathfix is an OAuth proxy solution that enables SaaS integrations to any platform or any provider that you would like to connect with. Essentially, what we are offering is the ability for you to be able to offer your end users integrations to connect to the platforms that they love and they use. So Pathfix enables a previously very tedious, very extensive 500 plus hour job, get it done in less than 2 minutes. That is what Pathfix does.
Awesome. That's definitely going to be interesting for SaaS developers and SaaS founders. Am I correct?
Absolutely. So Pathfix is a developer tool, but yes, it has been built to enable SaaS platforms, to build out some more additional functionalities without, spending too much time, too much effort in the integration side of it. Because, as SaaS developers, we like to focus on our platform, on the core of what we have to offer instead of the non-peripheral or connectivity issues. And that is what we are looking to solve with Pathfix.
Excellent. So when we're talking about development issues, if you guys go to pathfix.com right now, there's an actual calculator built into the website where you can calculate how much time and money is involved in setting up integrations ranging from 5 to up to 30, and you'll be saving tens of thousands of dollars just on setting up OAuth. So while you guys are watching this video, feel free to browse around on their website. The deal for this is actually live right now on pitchground.com. So jump over to that after you guys figure out how much money you guys are going to save, because without a doubt, you guys will definitely fall in love with Pathfix. So, Ralph, why don't we have you share the screen? We could dive straight into setting up a Pathfix account, as well as using a coupon code, showing people how to apply that code, and then diving into how to set up the features within Pathfix.
Right. So, we'll actually go to the coupon code, as the last step. Uh, what we'll start with, is a demo, which actually demonstrates how a SaaS user, or a SaaS product company or a SaaS product developer would actually use Pathfix for their benefit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into a file that I've created. It's just a JSBin file, which sort of represents a sample SaaS company's integration page. So if I look at the output of this file, my persona over here is that I am this company by the name of Volt Marketing, and I've logged in as John at enduser.com. And this Volt Marketing offers me a facility to integrate with Slack and send myself messages. I mean, it's a very stupid use case, but it demonstrates the integration and the trigger both uh, through one demo. So what I've done over here is I've created the page, and I'll go into Pathfix now, configure Pathfix for use with this page, and plug the Pathfix code in, and you'll see how it comes alive. Right. So I'm at Pathfix. I'll log in as Is it Samira? What's the login?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't use a demo login to open source. Samira, I'm waiting for the logins.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Alright, so if you guys are just joining us for today's webinar, we're actually going through a live walkthrough of a Pathfix account. So if you guys have questions, if you have concerns, if you have specific integration questions that you have, feel free to leave them in the comment section so that way we can address them for you guys live.
Yeah, it's the same password.
All right, okay. It's demo at Pathfix?
Yeah.
That is very secure. All right, so I've come into a fresh application. It's not really completely fresh, but this is what you'll see when you log in into your account. Even if you log in into a fresh account, you'll see a similar view. You go into My Applications, which is the place where we're setting up the application. At this point, since I'm Bolt Marketing, what you could do is you could go into add application and add, say, Bolt Marketing. I'm not going to do that now because it's already been added. If I go into Bolt Marketing over here, uh, you'll see that I've set up Slack. Now to do this, all you need to do, you have the whole set of integrations listed down below. Pick the integration that you want, and we're going to have more and more integrations appear in this part of the screen. Uh, and and it pops up a screen something like this. Now the screen is very important. The first part of the screen is very important, which says that use this link above when prompted for redirect URI in Slack. So I'll go into Slack and see what configuration I've done to actually enable this.
So
Right.
it's important.
We are here. Yeah.
It's important for them to
Sorry.
have the administrative access, right? The top level.
Are you saying admin for Slack account?
Yeah,
Is that your question?
for Slack account.
Yes. So in most cases, the ones who are going to make apps are going to be developer or will have some sort of a creator privilege in all of the accounts. So Slack is just a sample. But you could use Facebook. You could create your apps in Google Cloud Console. So yes, essentially, but the privileges are necessary here. So I'll go into administration and manage apps. I'm going to build. All right, so
yeah, this is the standard screen that you would see when you're trying to add your application in Slack or any other service provider. They would require that you register your application with them in order for the integration to happen.
All right, so when I add my app, there are in Slack. So this is all Slack related because the demo is trying to demonstrate how to integrate with Slack. Uh, there are two things that we need to set up. One is we've added the app, and the other one is we go to the OAuth permissions and add the redirect URL exactly as it's mentioned over here. Most of the apps give you the ability to have multiple redirect URLs. You don't really need them because once you've done this, Pathfix takes over. When an end user clicks on integrate with Slack. So this is very important. I come back over here. If I go to the basic information of the app, I'll find the client ID, which I have added over here. And I'll find a client secret, which I've put in over here. Now, whenever you add any application in Pathfix, it defaults the scopes for that particular integration. You can change it. So if you happen to need more scopes, you can change it over here, or you could just hit the save button, and the most used scope, will get defaulted. Right. Now, once you've added the application, you then go into instructions. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, since I've added my application and I've already, fed in my credentials into Pathfix, my Slack credentials into Pathfix, I'll just do the last step. Now, I already have a user interface that I've created, so I will not go with the default user interface that Pathfix gives me. Right. So Pathfix does give me an interface. If I were to put this button, but I'll take the custom interface because I already have one, and I'll just take this bit, which says here, and I'll look for this button, integrate with Slack, over here, which says okay, integrate with Slack, and I'll add that button here. Right. But sorry, yeah. And I also take this piece of code and go over here and paste it.
Right. So essentially what he's doing is he's adding the first part of it. So in order for the integration to come alive, there are two steps. The first step is building the connection between your application and the service provider, where you would essentially see a button that says to authorize the user, you're authorizing the application to access the data on your behalf. So the first step there is what Ralph is currently performing right now.
So it's important that people do both parts, otherwise the script won't work. Essentially.
Yes, it won't work. So, this is pretty familiar ground for developers. It's nothing new. It's stuff that we do every day. Now, one thing we do need to do over here is replace the end user ID. So as I said, I have logged in over here as john@enduser.com. So I will do enduser.com. I hope I don't get into any copyright issues with enduser.com. I'm not really seeing that there's one of them. The other one is that it's given me a client ID, which is actually which I need to send as well. So in my JavaScript piece of code, I'll put this in over here. Right. With this, I add a smiley because just to make sure that the refresh has happened. Okay, I need to probably refresh a couple of times. It's a bug in. Oh, well. All right, I get my smiley, so the refresh is taking place. Okay. Now, all I did was I added the script over here, and to this button, I added the data OAuth command slack.call. And what I'm going to do is, oh, my button is alive. So I have an account in end user. Uh, what was it, Samira? Sorry,
User group.
end user group. Sorry. I think it's should have been John at enduser.com. And
So this is like a great way for a tool like Asana or even Trello to integrate with Slack, because a lot of these softwares can be utilized by multiple agencies to streamline their workflow. And if they make their user experience this much easier by integrating uh, with other or with each other, then it's easier to not only sell the software but to retain clients over time. So
yeah,
this is what Pathfix helps companies do. And if you guys are thinking about implementing Pathfix in your business, think about all these other, uh, I guess, not competitors, but think about your competitors. Think about what your competitors are currently doing to attract new clients to their business, right? And if you have the ability to integrate with Slack, with Gmail, or Google, with Facebook, with Zoom, with the list of I can't remember all the different integrations you guys currently have and will have in the coming weeks, like that exponentially grows your customer base. So if you guys have a great product, but you don't necessarily have the customer base yet, just by you saying, "Hey, I integrate with Asana, I integrate with Gmail, I integrate with Zoom, etc., this is how you guys will grow your platform, because now you're more attractive to your end user."
in fact, I was looking at one of the other products on Pathfix on PitchGround. Sorry, I think there's an analytical product which pulls marketing analytics from a few vendors and gives a sentiment analysis, and stuff, which was very interesting because I can only imagine the number of hours they would have spent, trying to sort this bit of code, and on top of that, they would have spent a considerable amount of time, adding their value add. So once they actually warehouse the data, they then need to present it. They need to apply their algorithms and present it in a pretty analytical dashboard fashion, which is the core value add. And the amount of hours I kept thinking that they would have spent to actually create an integration engine, and every integration they add, they're going to spend more and more time. So I'm going to contact them. uh,
Totally, I'll make the introduction.
yeah, you know who I'm talking about. I
It's
I
not
just can't remember the name.
okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's actually very exciting because we actually have a full pipeline. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell everybody, but we have a full pipeline for the next 2 months. One new SaaS every week uh, on PitchGround, because there's just so much demand for software right now, and we are trying to meet that need. And if we can help our vendors launch faster with Pathfix, that would be amazing. So there's a lot of opportunities for partnerships. There's a lot of opportunities for growth, and this is just the beginning. And this is what we're here for. We're here to help other founders get on board. We're here to help other founders grow their business. And if we can help everybody here, that's the overall goal. The mission is just to change the world by impacting uh, businesses, whether they're large or small, giving them the tools to succeed. And if you guys are in the SaaS space, if you're a SaaS founder, if you're a developer, if you work with integrations on any level, Pathfix is definitely something you should take a look at. Because look, within what 8 minutes, and that's with issues with passwords and stuff. In 8 minutes, we set up this full integration with Slack.
Yeah. So the last bit of the integration is, yes, you do the integration to actually trigger some messages or trigger some kind of information exchange between your app and the integrated app, which I represent as a trigger over here. Now this trigger, if you see the code, again familiar to developer audience, if you see the code over here, the button clicks invoke two methods. One is push message to Slack and get channel list. This is not our method. This is a method which is defined over here in the JavaScript code, which does what is takes this information chat.post message, and before I actually go to that screen, I actually like to take you to Slack and see the documentation of chat.post message. All right. So chat.post message is exactly as Slack mentions it should be. It says that the preferred method is post. So we have done the same thing. The preferred method is post. And it says that the payload needs to have a channel and a text message. So you'll see that defined somewhere down in the section. Yeah. Oh, this is the response. So if I can find the sample message. Okay, you'll have to read through or see their page, but the complete thing is defined over here, and we've just matched up to exactly what they have said, not made any changes, not added anything of our own, except for the fact that this payload is packed into into the form data and sent through our servers, which is the second step. So if I go back into Pathfix and see the messages over here, you'd see that to actually complete this call, I need to pass it through our servers, which are at labs.pathfix.com. Pass it as a Slack OAuth call, replace the user ID, and so if you're doing a server-to-server call, you always need to have a private key. If you're doing a JavaScript call, I'll go into JavaScript origins later on. But for now, we just need to understand that uh, the the ping client ID, which is actually the Pathfix incorporated client ID, is what goes along with the user ID. And what you'll see over here is I've done exactly the same thing. I've created the URL, added the user ID, added the ping client ID, which is referenced to these variables which are over here, and then I finally send the request. So everything done. Time to see whether it works. My hands are all cold. Oh wow, IP blocked. Okay, so our security has kicked in over here because I'm trying to do a JavaScript call and I have not enabled the origin. So what happened is it sent it to Pathfix. This is the request that it built and sent to Pathfix, and this is the response that it got back as the IP block. So what I could do is I go into my applications, firewall, Volt marketing, was it? Go into firewall settings, and what is the origin? The origin is output.jsp.com.
So this is very important because we've had people ask this question over the last couple of days. How secure will like my SaaS be if I use Pathfix, right? Because a lot of people are apprehensive towards giving their access freely to another company or a third-party company. So what you just demonstrated shows the level of security that's available because of the security features that you have built in using like a firewall setting, for example.
Yeah.
Right. So we actually have two types of firewall settings in place. One is the IP validation, and the other is, the JavaScript origin, which is, essentially what Ralph is adding right now. So the IP validation, in a sense, you could actually put in what sort of IPs are allowed, what are the only IPs that are allowed to access when to make a call or to authorize a user. So anybody outside of the IP trying to access it would not be able to. It would always come as IP blocked.
Awesome.
All right, it does take a little while to refresh on the servers, but let's give it a shot. So I'll just refresh this page in case it's cached anything. Go back to trigger and send a message to Slack. Oh, wow. All right, so the message has gone through to Slack. We go to Slack and have a look at it. But what you see over here is it's come back with a ping status success. It's giving you a status code 200. And it's in the data, it packs all the information that Slack has sent back after it has authenticated the message. If I go back into Slack, uh, which screen was there? All right, Slack. Right, I've got that's the time zone 10:12, 10:13, integration active. So yes, so that seems to be working. I could do the same thing for the channel list. I've not added any more integration. There's nothing further that it needs to support. But what it has done is the linked account, it has gone and got all of the information. The ping status is success. The status code is 200. And and all of the channels have come back to you. So you have all of this information ready to work with right away. And how much time did it take me? It actually did not take me much time to put it all together. So what we've seen until now in Pathfix is I actually created my application, which I didn't really create, but you get the point. I created the application. I set up the client credentials from Slack. It could have been from Google. It could have been from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to offer as an integration. You might want, what you saw is in the Slack integration, we did two things. One is we sent a message, which is a good example of push. The other thing is we got the channel list, which is a great example of pull. Then you saw the instructions to actually complete complete the process over there. You all saw the firewall. I'll just cover a little bit more on the firewall over here. What you see is two capabilities. Samira already explained it. You see an IP validation, which actually takes care of your server-to-server connectivity. If you want to disallow or not allow any other servers to contact or to send requests on your behalf, you actually set up your server firewall. Now, if you take both of these off, what you see is all of your messages will go through. You could do that in the development environment, but do not do it in production. And if you actually, if you have your servers which generate dynamic IPs, you can actually override this with the private key. So the private key is in most cases optional. And what is this private key that we're talking about? We saw it somewhere. Somewhere we saw it. Yeah. So there is a private key that is mentioned over here, which you saw that I had not added it to the JavaScript. I had not added it to the JavaScript code that I created in JSBin because this is a private key and should only go into the server. And this private key, if you're actually sending a private key from the server to server, you then don't need to worry about your server generating dynamic IPs because as a developer, I've faced a lot of issues where if we give only IP firewalls, some servers have a range of IPs that it allows you to use, but some environments generate dynamic IPs, and using a firewall in those kind of scenarios makes it hell for implementation scenarios. All right. We the next one that I want to show you is the monitoring of the activity. So if I go into the monitor activity page, what you'll see is the last few messages. So this is I covered it a bit yesterday. These are self-clearing logs. What you're seeing over here is only successful messages. So what you saw is there are two messages that I sent using this mechanism. One is the send message and one is the get channel. You will see both of them uh, over here, and they will just disappear after a day because we don't really want to keep your system, keep your data. But if you're having certain issues and the messages are going through and they're returning API errors, this is the place that you would want to come and check as to what have you missed out, because sometimes you might be sending a payload and that payload might be missing some information. You can come here and look at the logs. For most of you, you can also look at the log in the console, in the browser console, which also shows you what went wrong when you sent a message. All right, so this is not only for errors. This will also demonstrate for successful messages. The only things that it does not log is how did it stamp the information and send it to Slack. That's the internal magic that we'd like to keep out, because that actually has access tokens and refresh tokens that are being exchanged, and we just can't show that information over here because they're encrypted and stored.
That's understandable.
Yeah. The last one that I'd like to go through is the profile section, where there's a notification system over here where you can actually connect to Slack. So in this case, so it's done using exactly the same mechanism where so what it does is that as soon as it's connected, I see the Slack channels that I can integrate with. So what this says is that we have different events, and we plan to send all notifications, whether it's API errors, whether it's usage limits, whether it's unauthorized access attempt, all of that kind of information. We want to notify you on Slack instead of loading you with emails. So you don't really need to come into the system and check the health at all times. You're going to see a bunch of events over here, and which will notify you only if you want to see them. In some cases, we suggest that you enable the notifications into Slack. But this is, a part of our integration strategy. Another part of our integration strategy is, pushing our Trello roadmap into our roadmap web page. But I won't go into that right now. All right. So what you're seeing is I could just select the integration. I could just select the integration and select the channel. And now, anytime there's an error, I will get a notification on this channel. So what I've just done is that I have not built a notification engine. I have not built an app that you have to download onto your phone. But what I've done is I've given you this and sending you a notification onto an app that you regularly use. You can create a channel to receive error notifications and only monitor those. So that's done. So the last part is a subscription. So the app likes to present itself as a very simple app. There's no there's no complications to it. There are no 1,000 settings. We like to keep it simple. So this is how we've actually envisioned its simplicity and brought it to you. The last part is the subscription that we like to take you into. But before we take you into subscriptions, Samira can probably show you on PitchGround how to get yourself a coupon and then we'll come back over here and show you how you can apply the code.
Right, yeah, let's do that. Let's go to pitchground.com, go to the deal, and that way, Samir, you can explain the
Okay.
vocabulary behind the deal. I know people are going to have questions about messaging and what it means. So we could definitely do that. If you guys are watching, you guys have questions, feel free to drop the questions in the comment section. We have about 360 people watching live. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us, guys. I know you guys are watching from all over the world. It's a very exciting time for us to be here with the Pathfix team, and we just demonstrated for the last hour or so that how effective it is to integrate with Pathfix versus trying to code everything on your own. So if you're again a SaaS founder, if you're a SaaS developer, and you want to take the workload off your hands, definitely start looking into how Pathfix can help you. You can visit them by going to pathfix.com or going to our deal page on pitchground.com, clicking on deals, and then hitting the Pathfix icon. So I believe it's, scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
Right there, launch of the week.
Should I do this?
Yep.
We'll just come, yeah.
Oh, don't hit buy now. Hit the logo, the image.
Right?
You don't have to.
You would have.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to make me buy it right now.
You can buy it. Just hit the icon. There you go.
All right.
Great. So, yeah, just to quickly go over what we have to offer the good folks at PitchGround is we currently are offering 3 different plans. The first plan is where it is $195 for a lifetime, and what they would get is 25,000 calls per month, and this is with unlimited integrations, unlimited end users. You would get the entire functionality of the platform, which is the OAuth-based connection, as well as the communication that would happen between the platforms. It is exactly what Ralph has shown, and the only cap on that would be the 25,000 calls per month. Right. And the second plan would be for $395 for which you would get about 60,000 calls per month. So if you scroll down a little, Ralph, you'll see that. Right. And the final plan is where you could get 120,000 calls per month, and that is for $595 one-time charge. Right, so those are the 3 plans that we currently have with PitchGround. And you could, once you've purchased your code, all you will need to do in order for you to redeem the code is you would need to create an account with Pathfix. Once you have created your account, you would need to go under subscriptions. And right there, apply coupon. So once you click on it, you just need to enter your coupon code right there and hit apply. And instantly your account would become PitchGround lifetime deal account.
Awesome. So what is a call? I'm sure that for our non-technical viewers, they may not understand what that means.
Sorry?
What are like the limits, like the 20?
All right. So I'll go to that. So each of these messages that went up and down, excluding the messages that went up and down for authentication, all of the other messages that go up and down are counted as messages. So right now, what you'll see is that this, in this demo, I did 2 calls. So, that's what your counter is. So that's it.
So the authorization that happens between your platform for your end user and your end users, the service provider, that would not be counted as a call. That is the authorization that would happen. The calls would happen with the messaging, like Ralph said, what is showing right now is messaging that would go on between your app and the service provider. That is what we count as a call.
Yeah. So, for example, say, we take the example of Volt Marketing, and what this does is that it's probably pulling some information every hour in a day. So if I just open the calculator, uh, it's wrong. So if it's running, uh, if it's pulling the analytics app 24 hours a day, and it's got say 1,000 users, uh, they're actually looking at 24,000 calls a day, and if it is doing it every day, then you're looking at 720,000 calls across 1,000 users, and 720 calls would actually fall under uh, yeah would fall under this category. So for a mere price of 599 or 595, you can actually get a server that scales, that gives you latency, that gives you error logging, that gives you uptime promises, that gives you security, that gives you encryption, uh, all of it.
And what would this normally cost a business?
So you just love the calculator discussion, don't you?
I love helping people realize how much money they can save, because it
Yeah.
becomes a no-brainer at that point. I mean, to get to 1,000 customers is not difficult, right? And that's where like the cost of scale is going to be important. And if you can scale in an appropriate manner and save yourself thousands of dollars, why not?
Yeah, so if you could just scroll a little bit on the same page. Right there. No.
Did I miss it?
Yeah.
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 So,
Right. So as we were talking, assuming that you would like to start with, with a basic integration plan where you offer a minimum of 5 integrations to your end users to be able to connect with, this is how many hours we're talking about that you would spend in building out the same. The same OAuth integration that includes your servers, framework, your token management system. So we have broken down the entire 2,500 senior engineering hours that it would take for you to build what we had shown get done in the 20-minute webinar. That included the setting up the connection, as well as sending doing the messaging between your app and the service provider.
So what we're saying is, if you just exclude the server infrastructure cost, which might not be so much, if you're running a small team, you still have a hidden cost of $101,000, that you're going to spend if you actually, do 5 integrations. They are all small hidden costs, which add up over time. Uh, and what thanks to PitchGround, you get all of this for 595 for a lifetime. I don't know why I'm selling for PitchGround.
I mean, we really appreciate that you guys are launching with us. I saw a question the other day. Somebody asked about licensing. Uh, how does that work with Pathfix? Is there a
Yeah,
certain
this is a
licensing?
question regarding whether it is per application based, or whether it is what if somebody had multiple applications inside so if they were running, say, Bolt marketing, and then it's in the case of PitchGround, it's running PitchGround, it's running you have Founders something, Founders Wall, what's the name, uh,
Yeah,
Richard?
Founders Board. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so there's Founders Wall, so that would be the next step. And then if they've got a community that they're building, there's an entrepreneurs community, the SaaS community that is building. So they could have multiple apps over here, and the charge is distributed across all of the calls. The charge is not specific to calls within an app. It's the charge is distributed across all the apps in your account.
Yeah, so the license essentially offers you access to the entire platform with as many applications as you want, and the calls essentially are, account based versus application based.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a great question.
There were,
You guys have any
yeah,
other questions?
there was something that we promised that we'd cover with products that are running subtenant environments. Uh, so it's actually a very simple concept over here. Uh, so say uh, you were an app which is offering your end users the ability to build an app and then give that app, you know, have second level end users. In that case, all you need to do to achieve subtenancy is maybe prefix the email ID. So say you know say I don't know, Datadog, and you could have like a subtenant after that, or so this doesn't really have to be an email ID. The reason we give an email ID is because you need because when you actually go into the monitor, you're able to clearly see which user made that call. If I were to give, the internal user ID, it would just be difficult for me to debug it. Now, what you could do is that, this ID that you're giving, you basically add a subtenant information. So you know, if the company's name is Acme or his joined his name Acme, and then he has his end users, you could just use something like this. And there you go. You don't really have to do any computations for subtenancy. You could have John at end user, working for, you know, I don't know, bunnyinc.com, or you could have John at end user working for acme.com. So that takes care of your multi-tenant requirement.
Awesome. That makes sense.
Yeah, your subtenancy, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, so what you're seeing over here is the user. So this is a view that I didn't really cover, previously, but this allows you to see all of the users and which apps they have signed up for and which provider they have signed up for. So this is another good way to browse. You don't really have to maintain any of that inside your app.
It's great that all the information that you need is located in this one dashboard. So that way you don't have to like dig through multiple accounts. It's like once you set it up once, you have the go-to place to go to for all that data.
Yeah.
So if something fails, does it show up on the website or does it show up in the Slack channel?
So
you get a message in the Slack channel.
Which is why, which is why we essentially recommend that you set up the notification almost immediately. So in case if there is any sort of failure, be it the API failure or the user connectivity failure, you would immediately get notified on Slack, and then you could come back, monitor your application, and you could immediately find out what went wrong and what failed right there.
Is there anything in place that prevents looping? So let's say there's like some integration that's doing constant calls and it's doing the same action over and over. Is there anything in place that would stop that from happening and alert you?
It alerts us. It alerts us internally, but we have internal time limits that sort of controls. What you're referring to is a polling time limit. And we have an internal time limit that controls the amount of the interval that the minimum amount of interval between two calls to a provider. We're going to be giving you the ability to select a few limits. Uh, but at this point, it's an internal configuration, and if you start bombarding the system with too many calls one after the other, you will realize that you'll get an error message from us.
Okay, cool. Uh, so basically, it's a system that you guys have internally to prevent denial of service attacks as well.
Yeah, so all of this is actually a part of a firewall. You can control, bits of the firewall and how the firewall functions. The firewall does more than, just check for IPs and keys. It also checks for the nature of the call. It also tries to see if somebody is trying to, impersonate, somebody else. All of those kind of things.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna go through our Facebook page, see if we have any more questions. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section so that way I can ask the team here live. If not, you guys can always ask a question and we will tag the team so that way they respond to you guys as soon as possible. Let's see. So far, so good. Looks like everyone's fairly happy with the walkthrough. It's very straightforward as promised. Somebody asked if you guys can. I think this was like a spam comment. They asked if you can bail them out. I don't think that's anything to do with what you guys are doing, but
Sorry, I didn't get it.
someone asked to bail them out, like bail out their company. So I guess their development fees were so expensive that they need help. So if you guys need help with development fees and you want to keep those prices low, again, check out how much money you're gonna save by going to the Pathfix website. Look at their calculator. Like it's a no-brainer. And then just head on over to pitchground.com/product/pathfix and grab your license. Um, oh, that's a question. How many can you stack these licenses?
Well,
So we
currently, yeah, we're not offering the stacking capability. So what we have is just one license per account.
Okay. So let's say hypothetically I get the 595 plan, which is 120,000 calls per month. And given the hypothetical example that Ralph gave, that's approximately like maybe 1,000 users, give or take. Um, if I hit that limit, what happens?
so we have a few events. We have, when your quota is approaching, you will be getting notifications that the quota is approaching. When it reaches its limit, you will get notification, and we do have a tolerance, which is, which varies based on your monthly, your monthly relationship with us and your monthly usage. There's a tolerance that we set. So it doesn't really shut down, but it starts sending you messages that your you know your messages are about to shut down. Now this is all based on what we're trying to do internally is trying to create a credit system from the stuff that you've not used in the past, but essentially, if you're going to have a high number of users subsequently, which we do want you to have, because the more you grow, the more we grow. So, so yes, if you have a high number of users, then you've got to upgrade your subscription.
Awesome. So in terms of pricing, anything after 120,000 calls, what's the pricing
Just,
looking like?
just, just give me a sec. I'll just exit. Be back.
Sure, if I could just pick that up, you can actually go to pathfix.com/pricing, and we do have different pricings available based on the number of calls that you would be expected to make for that month, right?
So
And
let's
yeah,
say like I do 200,000 calls. So for the 80,000 calls, is there a like a pitch ground price that people will be grandfathered into, or are they gonna pay like a regular um, fee?
Sure. So for right now, it would be a regular fee, but we definitely like to work around with PitchGround and see what we could offer the users, if we could offer them some kind of a discount or special code. That's definitely something we can work out.
Awesome. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in that as well. Scaling
Sure.
is definitely going to be something on people's mind, especially as they look into, uh, I guess, figuring out how much they want to invest into development.
Sure. I mean, we'd be more than happy to, work something out with them. So, yeah, but the pricing information post 120,000, if you're looking for higher volume, is there on the pricing page.
Perfect. So I believe that ends our call for today. We actually went over time a little bit by 10 minutes, but that's okay. We're here to serve you guys, make sure that you guys are well informed, have a good understanding of how Pathfix works. And if you guys have questions, again, I always encourage you guys to ask those questions on our Facebook group so that way everybody can see your question, everyone can see your answer. We're here to help you scale, we're here to help you with the tools that you need to grow your business. So if you're a SaaS founder, if you're a SaaS developer, if you're maybe considering starting up a SaaS, but maybe you're bootstrapped, you don't have a lot of money, this is definitely something you want to look into because, again, it's a no-brainer. Check out their website, pathfix.com. Check out their calculator. Check out the deal on our website, pitchground.com slash deal slash pathfix, and you're gonna see that you will save so much money simply by using this one tool to get all your integrations in one place. And if you guys are looking to scale, again, the Pathfix team is here to help you do that. All you have to do is start initiating that conversation. We will be here to help you as well. And your success is all of our success. So thank you for joining us today, Pathfix team. Thanks for joining us, Ralph. Thanks for joining us, Samir. Congratulations on your launch. We're excited to be partnered with you guys, and we look forward to seeing many more SaaSes to come due to you guys helping them out.
Yeah, we look forward to it too. So thanks so much for that.
All right, take care, guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thanks.
You too.
Take care, Richard.
Bye bye.
Bye, Samira.
Bye. Bye.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, Ralph.
Thanks a lot, Richard, for all the sessions. I'm guessing we're not